Please welcome Ken Moolis.
Do I have to carry this off for John? Do I have to lift this? No, okay. By the way, Laura, I just want to ask you one question. I've been in business for 41 years, and you said 36 of them were successful. So you're going to have to tell me which 5 I screwed up. I don't. There must be something to that message. Well, first of all, it's a pleasure to be here. As I walked in, it dawned on me that 5 years ago, Moolis and Company was the cornerstone investor on the privatization of the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange. So it's very good. I had never come here before. And then it went public. It's been very successful. So it's great to be here. I just wanted to start by saying, you know, Ayn Rand and specifically Atlas Shrugged really changed my life. And I thought probably the best way to do that is not through, and by the way, changed my life to the point where John Allison, when I became a public company, John Allison was the first person I called to become a director of Moolis and Company, and I was very happy when he took it, you know, the clarity of purpose, our alignment on vision, and every once in a while I call John with difficult issues, and we could talk a little about that, how you deal with the world and the issues out there in a world of Randian purpose and objectivism. But I'd just like to bring you through very quickly, because I think it's a story. I've read Atlas Shrugged 4 times in my life, and it's changed my life 4 times. So the first time was when I was 17. I think I was 17. I try to remember. It might have been 18 or 16. But, you know, I was, my brother told me to read the book. He did tell me you could skip the speech part. He said, skip that part. It's really boring and it's tough. So when you're 17, I think I actually skipped it the first time. But, you know, I was thinking very differently. My father said I used to have fights with him all the time, and I'm a Jewish upbringing. Still, I was bar mitzvah and everything, but I had a tough time with religion. I used to argue with my father, what's the difference between a religious crutch and drug addiction? It used to drive him crazy. He goes, both have a crutch they lean on, and they're both mysterious, and you know, they're not real. So he had enough with me. I think he might have told me to read the book, but I had a very difficult time understanding the world, and then I picked up Atlas Shrugged, and for the first time, I was with a group of people who looked to reason, rational purpose, who, you know, I just, at 17, I didn't get it all. As I said, I didn't read the speech even, just to get through the story, but it affected me and said, I'm not alone. There are people out there questioning, and there are people out there who think differently about what success is and what the world was about. Then I took a job. I got out of school, 21. I took a job with a firm called Drexel Burnham, run by Mike Milken. I don't know how many of you are old enough to remember that firm. Mike continues to change the world. Back then, Drexel Burnham was a loser firm, by the way. When I got the job, it was because nobody would take that job. And that's true. I'm not just being self-deprecating. So I went out and I took that job. And all of a sudden, because of this fellow, Mike Milken, who literally at the time might have been 28 years old, 1981 when I joined, we started to change the world. The way tech is changing the world today is what Drexel Burnham did to finance. And finance was kind of novel. Then everybody did everything the same way. Drexel changed it. They rethought everything. They changed what you could accomplish. But I'll remember we were working around the clock. I was working, you know, literally from, you know, morning to night, sleeping under my desk. In those days, I chain smoked and all this. And I never forget, I went on vacation a few years later. By the way, my early days, just to bring you back to what the introduction was, I was in charge of changing the gaming industry. I'd go to Las Vegas from what they called the Teamsters, which is just a nice way of saying the mafia, to what became business people. And I helped Sheldon Adelson buy the Sands. I helped Howard Hughes sell the land that became the Mirage. Howard Hughes, I think, Howard Hughes' estate. That's where I met Steve Wynn, and later tried to help a very brash entrepreneur named Donald Trump through the bankruptcy of 3 of his casinos. So that's a whole different speech and story. One day, maybe with a couple of glasses of wine, we'll talk about that. Anyway, I was working around the clock, and I remember I was on vacation. I know exactly where I was, and I was reading Atlas Shrugged, and I was really thinking about not going through with this job. And I got into Atlas Shrugged, and I got through that book, and I remember putting the book down and saying, I'm going to do this. I committed to doing it, and it changed my life. I stopped questioning it. I knew I had to just be great. I had to be as great as I could be at it. I had to get up every morning, and I committed to it. And for the next 15 to 20 years, you know, I think that's what drove me. It's a tough business at the beginning. Clients want things done immediately, and that really helped me to get there. And I think it drove the success of my business and the way I thought about things. I think the next time I read it was literally 20 years later. I was about 46, 47. I was the president of UBS Investment Bank at this point. I left out some of the how I got there, but I ended up the president of UBS Investment Bank, which, let's just say, I'm not going to say anything bad about UBS today, but at the time I was there, if you don't like bureaucracy, you should try Swiss bureaucracy. It is a very difficult thing to do. So I'm going to tell you, this is off the record meeting, I hope. Laura, I know you're not going to write anything about this, but this is a true story. So I was getting frustrated at UBS, and I'm on vacation with my wife in Hawaii. We came up with this brilliant idea to merge, I think Quest, it was a big U.S. Telecom company with Verizon. It was a $15 or $20 billion deal. It was our idea. We were making a $25 million M&A fee. But we had to put up, UBS had to put up $2 billion of capital alongside two other firms, Merrill Lynch and Deutsche Bank were also putting up. Anyway, it wasn't that difficult alone. But UBS had undercut me 10 times in the past. They just, you know, in the middle of a deal, they had decided to not live up to the... So I said, I'm not going to commit to this deal unless I get the board of directors of UBS to tell me they're not going to reverse on me. And they were like, what do you mean? I said, look, I'm not putting my name on this deal. I'm not telling them we're done unless you do it. So I did that in April. Lo and behold, it comes time to close the deal in sometime in, I think it was September. And the company needs $100 million more to win. I'm going to try to keep this simple. But at the end, I get a call on Friday, and literally they telling me, you know, we told you that was all we were going to do. We are out of the deal. We're going to pull out of the deal on a Friday. I said, you're what? You're going to, I mean, this is our idea. We're going to make a $25 million fee. We'll make, like, you know, enormous amounts of money. It was the deal of a lifetime. It was, I mean, at that day's $20 billion deal was a big deal. And they had to rebid on Sunday night. So it's Friday. So I stay on them. I stay with them all day on Friday night. I don't know if this is interesting, but it's finances. Okay, so I was, and I'm reading Atlas Shrugged on the beach with my wife, and I stay on them with 5 hours. I get them to increase by $100 million, pretty much threatening to quit and, you know, whatever I had to do. Anyway, but they said, whatever you do, do not come back for any more money. Is that a good Swiss accent? I don't know if that's a good Swiss accent, but that is it. You do not come back. Well, I know if you're in M&A and a deal moves on a Friday, there's a 100% chance it's going to move again on Sunday. Before the Monday, somebody's going to rebid, and I'm just waiting for it. And on Sunday morning, I get a call, and again, I was in Hawaii on vacation with my wife, that we have to move another $100 million. I just can't believe this. But I'm at that part in Atlas Shrugged, anybody here read it, where Dagny goes and builds the railroad on her own. Everybody remember that part? They won't fund her, so she does it on her own. And I'm sitting in a beach chair with my wife. Now, you know, I'm an employee now, so I make money, but I don't make that much money. And we get on a call. I get the whole board of directors on this call. And they said, we told you do not come back. We are out. We will not provide another $100 million loan. I'm on with 2 hours. So I finally, my wife's sitting next to me. I said, all right, I'll tell you what, you're out, right? They said, yes, the whole board. I said, I'll put up the $100 million. You know, I'm on the page where Dabney does it. I'm feeling my oats. I don't have $100 million. But I said, I'll put up the extra $100 million, but I get the M&A fee. And you know, you put up what you've already committed to, and I'll do the $100 million. And I look, my wife's looking over me, goes, what the heck? What are you doing? So I said, shh. Anyway, this goes on for, you know, another 2 hours when finally the CFO, it's a true story, the CFO of UBS goes, we're talking about how we're going to do this. And all of a sudden I hear somebody rational say, wait a second, we cannot borrow the money from the Mואaliס. How does UBS borrow the money from the Mואalis? And I shamed them into doing it. Anyway, I hung up the phone, I looked it out, and I looked at my book, and I said, I'm quitting as soon as I can. And, you talk about moments. It gave me I quit as soon as I could right after that. That December, I quit, and I set out, and if it wasn't for I really believe if it wasn't for reading about Dagny Bigelow Railroad, I wouldn't have had the conversation. It also convinced me you can't live like this. By the way, UBS is a great firm now. I don't want to say anything bad about it. That was 15 years ago, different people, just for the record, anybody who's covering this. By the way, UBS almost went bankrupt 2 years later in the crisis, just so you know, because of bad decision-making, really bad decision-making. So anyway, that changed my life again. It literally led me to get up and quit. As a result of quitting, I started this firm, Moolis & Company, 15 years ago, and it's been the greatest thing I've done, being an entrepreneur. For all the entrepreneurs in the room, I congratulate you. I had to wait till I was 48 to do it. I'm not really an entrepreneur. I was a chicken. I wasn't really risking my life. I would have made it anyway, so I don't know how it's like to be a young entrepreneur and really have that risk. I really tip my hat to you. And the last time I read it, by the way, was to read it as an entrepreneur in the middle, about 5 years ago, and I got completely different lessons from it. But each time, it gave me something that is just really hard to believe. The idea, 5 years ago especially, just to be around heroic people who do the things they want to do, who don't waver. And, I'll leave one tip that I got out of it in running a company, because I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs and business people here. I titled the thing, Check Your Premises. And, one of my favorite lines by Raand is that there are no contradictions in life. If you find a contradiction, check your premises. One of them is wrong. And I think there's so many people who have no premises now. They go into business. They don't have a foundation of beliefs. I see this, and I hate to say it, I'm on the Business Roundtable, the largest companies in America. And they're being hit by these, what do we do about the Voting Rights Act in Georgia, this law in Texas, the vaccine mandate, and I watch the most ESG, climate change, riots, and what do we say about the riots here? What do we not say about the riots there? And I watch the best, what you consider the top CEOs in America, and I just watch them wave in the wind. And I got to believe their employees and know they're just putting their finger up in the air, and wherever the wind is going, they're going. And it's very, by the way, very disappointing. And I've run the firm by a very firm set of beliefs, and I think it's essential for every entrepreneur here. Get a foundation, understand what your premise is, your employees are watching you, and live by it. And people notice, and I think it drives success. So again, congratulations to all of you. Read Atlas Shrugged at least 3 times, all right? I'll let you off for the 4th, but do it at least 3 times. It'll result in a very successful business. Thank you.